One of the great things about this conference, this Kessler Foundation conference, Life After Stroke, is you get to meet some pretty special people. This gentleman on my left I've seen before, but he's joining us now. He is Howard Rossman, a Stroke Robotic Exoskeleton participant. Now, that's just a description of you, but this exoskeleton equipment, we were talking to Dr. Knowlton, who's actually right behind you, and she described it in detail, but you're wearing it.
Yeah.
Describe what it's like to be in it.
To be in it is wearing a body brace that is self-directing of my feet in a timed manner because I have no movement in my left leg when I started using this. And up until this year, this device was not used for traumatic stroke victims. And so they started this year, and it gave me the incentive and motivation to see that I can use my left leg again, which I didn't know I could. And this has helped me.
Howard, you experienced a stroke when?
April 9th this year, 10 weeks ago, for Saturday.
What was your life like before that?
Very active, very full. The day of this stroke, I went to a Little League game to see my grandson play. We got out for dinner, and we were watching TV at night. I felt wobbly, fell asleep, and woke up in the middle of the night and fell to the floor and realized I was having a stroke. So I was working full-time as a substitute teacher, running a travel agency and living a full life.
This exoskeleton, and I've seen people walk in it before, but I've never really had the chance to talk to someone who's in it and moving. When you first got in it, describe that experience.
The experience was anxiety and apprehension because I felt I may fall, but apparently not. They gave me the cane to wear, and there were two people on either side with their controls, and they had a backup with a wheelchair in case I would have fallen backwards. So they gave me confidence, and I probably walked about 150 steps the first time I used it. And then I was trying to buy more time to get on it because it's a very popular machine.
Yeah. Everyone wanted to be on it.
Yes, that is correct.
Or in it.
In it.
Yeah. And describe your ability now in the exoskeleton.
My ability now is better than it was 5 or 6 weeks ago when I last used it because of the continued therapy I'm taking at a subacute facility, which has increased my motion of my left leg. So I have more mobility than I had before, so this is a little bit easier to use. But it is restraining, and you're apprehensive when you see it.
I met your wife and your daughter earlier this evening, and they're obviously proud of you and looking forward to hearing you tonight. Let me ask you this. What message do you have because there's 7 million people in this country dealing with stroke, what message would you have for them? Because you never expected it, you were totally active, and here you are now working hard to live your best life.
The advice I would have is that expect a long and slow recovery. That we played fire drill in my house for a period of time. What happens if I do have a stroke or a heart attack? A person of 75, of a certain weight and stature and blood diagnosis can be prone to it. I played fire drill with my doctor. What happens if? Where do I go? Where's the stroke center? So when it occurred, I was emotionally and medically prepared for this incident. I would recommend that when you get it to go to find out where there are stroke centers nearby that can cater to you. I was very fortunate to go to Robert Wood Johnson very quickly, who had a stroke center. And when it came a choice of several acute care facilities, Kessler came up and was on the top of my list. Of course, we had used this facility in 1976 for a family relative. Yeah. So I have a great deal of confidence that I will get better.
We're at Kessler Foundation, Life After Stroke. This panel discussion, this forum is recently concluded. One of the people in the audience, David Knowlton, who knows more about healthcare than most folks in this nation, was part of it. By the way, let folks know exactly why you were here tonight.
Well, I actually chair the stroke committee for the National Quality Forum, doing stroke measures and coming up with new standards. Dr. Barrett was on that committee, and I've referred many patients to her. Her work is just amazing.
Yeah, Dr. Barrett was one of the panelists who talked about this whole issue of on your left side, this spatial
Spatial deficit,
deficit, if you will. And so the goggles that she talked about that can make a difference. It's so important for people to know about the research going on and about how they can be helped, right, David?
Well, it's important for them to know and for them to communicate it. So doctors give up on patients too soon, as opposed to saying there's options. If you're leaning to one side, and the work that Dr. Barrett's got can get you back to center, you can feed yourself. You can sit up. It can affect your mobility. And there's hope for people in a little device that is probably cheaper than what you and I'll spend for dinner.
Those goggles.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. You did that work in stroke. It strikes me because some of the questions were asked, like, what are the risk factors for stroke? Am I more inclined if I have family history? Can I stop it if I exercise? Stop smoking, whatever. We're not as knowledgeable as we should be about stroke, are we?
True confessions, I had a stroke. I had a full right side stroke.
You did?
Driving home on the Thanksgiving Day, the Connecticut Turnpike, had a full stroke.
How long ago?
2007. No deficits, because I got people who cared for me that quickly, and people who were saying deficits were unacceptable. So I'm a passionate believer in it for obvious reasons. I was chuckling when people were talking about what can cause a stroke and so forth, and you don't know and everything. And the woman on the end up here said, you don't know. I didn't expect to have a stroke. I didn't expect to have a stroke. I was driving a car, and I had a very, very bad stroke. Yeah.
Well, thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for everything you do to help inform us about important healthcare issues. Thank you, David.
Yeah, thank you, Steve.
The preceding program has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating over 25 years of broadcast excellence, and 13 for WNET, NJTV, and WHYY. Funding for this edition of Caucus New Jersey has been provided by the New Jersey Education Association, Wells Fargo, Qualcare Inc., Berkeley College, the New Jersey Office of the Insurance Fraud Prosecutor, Gary's Wine and Marketplace, and by the Community Food Bank of New Jersey. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area. Caucus New Jersey has been produced in partnership with TriStar Studios.